Hello everyone. أهلا بيكم في تعلم الإنجليزية. Learn English. So today we're still talking about the bigger world around us. And today we're talking about mass media. So let's together take a look what exactly we're going to learn together. So the first thing that we're going to look at today is vocabulary. And for vocabulary, we're going to look at news, newspaper sections, and mass media in general. And we're also going to look at grammar. And for grammar, we're going to look at passive voice. And we're also going to look at skills. And for skills, we're going to look at writing, how to write a news report. So let's start together and let's take a look at the first part that we have, which is mass media. Okay, so to start thinking, what do we mean by mass media? Mass media, anything that we can use to communicate or to contact each other, or basically to communicate information. So how you can spread some sort of information to the public. This is called mass media. And mass media has different forms or different types. Let's take a look what are the different types of mass media that has changed over the years. So, if we're talking about mass media started really in the past and it continued over the year, and through the time, mass media changed its forms. So, if we're talking about mass media is like television, we're talking about radio, we're talking about newspapers, we're talking about internet, magazines. All these things are different forms of mass media. So anything that we can spread news through is called mass media. So let's take a look here. As we said, we have television, radio, magazines, internet, and newspaper. So if we're talking about the first form or the oldest form of mass media, it was newspaper. So this is the old form for spreading news. So it started with newspaper, which was only reading, and then came another version which was magazines. And this was the basic thing. After some time, the radio started. And then there was television, and after that, the internet appeared, which is happening currently. So all these are forms for you to get information or to spread some sort of news. So this is the meaning of mass media. And these are the different types or different forms of mass media. To start our lesson today, we're going to look at some collocations that are related to mass media. To speak about collocations, let's understand or let's remember together the meaning of a collocation. Collocations are two words that usually come together and they give a complete meaning. So, right now I will say a sentence and you think about it and think whether this is a good sentence or a bad sentence. So, when I say, I ate the bus, I ate the bus last week, does it make sense? Is this sentence correct? If we're talking about grammar, the sentence is grammatically correct. But if we're talking about meaning, it doesn't make sense. The meaning is not correct because the word eat is not okay with the word bus. So they are not matching together. They don't work together. So this is an example of a bad collocation. So every verb has a list of good nouns that can work with it, and every noun has a list of verbs. So in my example, I ate the bus. If I am going to cancel the bus, what are the good things that can come with the word eat, the good nouns? I can say I ate a sandwich, I can say I ate early, I ate a meal. So food in general will be okay. If we're talking about the word bus, what are the good verbs for bus? I waited for the bus, I took the bus, I drove the bus. So we have a list of verbs that are suitable for the word bus. And we have a list of nouns that are suitable for the verb eat. And this is exactly what we're going to look at. We're going to look at collocation, and we're going to look at collocations that are related to mass media. So let's see which verb is suitable for which noun when we speak about mass media. So let's look at collocations now. Here we have mass, damage, in, study, get, mobile, surf, find, watch, keep, listen, important, vote, and waste. Let's now look at them. Let's see how the collocations work. So, if we're talking about mass, it usually comes with the word media. So, it's mass media. So, mass media, like we discussed, it's anything that can spread news. If we're talking about damage, from this list, what would be good for it? So we can say damage, it's damage something. Damage your eye, damage your health, damage your telephone. So this is basically when we speak about televisions, televisions can damage your eyes. And we have important. So if we're talking about important, so important usually comes with the word events. So important events or important occasions. And when we speak about this, these are the things that we usually watch, or these are the things that we usually know about through mass media. And then we have get. It goes with information, so get information. And we usually get information from mass media, from the internet, from television. And then we have listen, listen, and it's listen to the radio, listen to news. So this fits with to the radio. And then if we're talking about the internet, so we don't search the internet, we don't open the internet, it's we surf. Surf the internet is the good verb. So we surf the internet. And then we have find, and for find we can have find new friends, and this is the basic thing that we can do through the internet. And a waste of time. So waste of time, this is an expression that always get or come together, which means spending your time on things that are not very useful. So I can say Facebook, spending your time on Facebook is a waste of time. So don't spend too much time on social media, because this is a waste of time. So waste of time doing things that are not very useful. And then we have keep, and it comes with fit. So keep fit means staying in good shape, and this is going to be difficult if we spend too much time using the internet and not doing any exercise. And then we have mobile, and it usually comes with the word phones, so mobile phones. And we have in, it usually comes with conclusion, and we're going to see it a lot, the word in conclusion, we see it a lot when we read news reports or when we hear news reports. And we're going to use it later when we start writing our news report. And we have vote. Vote means give your opinion. So vote by text is what happens when we watch programs for competitions, and they ask you to choose someone by a text. You send a text message to choose the winner. So this is called vote by text or vote via text. And then if we're talking about TV, the collocation was always going to be watch TV. So By this, we have looked at most important collocations or most important expressions that are related to mass media. And as we talked, mass media has different things. It has television, radio, magazine, internet, and newspaper. So let's take a look at one by one, or let's focus on them and what we can find in each and every one of them. And if we speak about television, it's very similar to radio. The only difference is that this is, if we're talking about television, this is something that we can watch and hear, while radio is just to hear. But if we're talking about the programs, the types of things, it's going to be the same. And it's the same idea when we speak about newspapers and magazines are really similar. And the internet is alone. So we're going to speak about television and radio together, newspaper and magazines together, and the internet alone. So let's start and let's look at television, and what applies on television applies on radio. Okay, here we have a list of things that we can watch on television. Some of them are related to newspaper as well, but basically the things that we can watch on television. So we're going to match the types of things that we can watch, the programs and the things that we can find on television with their meaning. Let's take them one by one. Let's think about it, what it means, and match. So let's start. The first one we have is called chat show. Chat show. Okay, so from the word chat, and when we speak about chat show, this is the British term for it, which is called talk show in American. So it's a chat show or a talk show. I guess we are familiar with the word talk show more. Okay, so from the word chat or talk, which one do you think it's going to be? So we have fly on the wall TV program in which celebrities or ordinary people are filmed all the time. TV program where guests, usually celebrities, come and talk to journalists. So chat, talk, it's the same thing. So a chat show is basically a television program in which we have a TV presenter or a journalist, and we have a celebrity who is a guest, and they usually speak together. They spend some time talking together, and they talk about their work, they talk about their personal life, their families, their achievements. So basically it's questions and answers, and this is called talk show or chat show. Think, what is your favorite talk show or chat show? Do you like them? If you don't, do your parents watch chat shows or talk shows? What kind of talk shows do they watch? Which one is their favorite if you don't like chat shows? So this is the first one, a talk show or a chat show. The second one is soap opera. Soap opera. And this is a bit difficult to guess. So let's take a look, and I will help you and give you a hint for it. Fly on the wall TV programs, this is not the one. This is already answered. Newspapers, so it's not a newspaper. A competition, it's not a competition still. A serious program with information about a topic of current interest, still this is not the one. Popular drama series that goes on for a long time, this is the one. So what is a soap opera? What do we mean by soap opera? This is a type of television series or television show that has more than one part, and it goes for a long time. The star of the soap opera is not the actor or the actress, it's maybe the place or maybe the events. So we have a very famous Egyptian soap opera which was called Layli al-Hilmiya. This is a very old one. The star was not a person, the star was the place. And in this place, we have people who come and go, people who live and die, and the place is still there. And we explored the lives of the people who live in this place. So we don't have one star. It's a large group of stars, and these stars come and go in the same place. So the big star is the place itself. Why do we call it soap opera? There are so many reasons for calling it soap opera. The first reason that they say is that when these types of television series started back in America, they had advertisement of soap products in the middle. And that's why they called it the soap opera. This is one reason. Some other people say it's called soap opera because it's like soap. Whenever you move it, it gets you new bubbles. So the events can always bring new events into it. So the place is there fixed. Whenever you move it, you bring new characters, you get new events, and the place is fixed. So we have so many different types of soap operas, American, Egyptian, but the important thing, it's long, it has so many parts, and it lasts for a long, long time. So this is soap opera. And then we have reality show. From the word reality, it is connected to real life. So let's look for something that gives the same meaning or the same idea of real life. Fly on the wall, TV program in which celebrities or ordinary people are filmed all the time. So this is the one. This is a reality show. So the reality show is people who are filming their real life. Like if we're talking about the Kardashians, so they have cameras in their houses, and you can turn on your television anytime and you can see what they're doing right now. So they're filming their personal life, their real life. They are not acting. There is no scenario, there is no acting. It is their real life and what happens in their everyday life. And then we have a game show. So a game show is basically a game. So let's find something here that has the same meaning like a game. So game show. We have newspapers. This is not the one. A competition or a quiz in which contestants take part. This is what game show means. So a game show is basically when you watch people who are competing together to win something or to get points. This is a game show in which you can vote by text for someone. And then we have a documentary. And if we're talking about documentary, this is a serious program with information about a topic of current interest. Basically, the main feature of a documentary is that it doesn't have actors or actresses, it just shows facts. So what happens in a documentary is that, for example, we can go and film the wildlife in Africa, and we can give information about the animals that live there, the nature, the types of activities that you can do when you go visit the wildlife in Africa. So there is no acting in there. So this is just information. This is called a documentary. And then we have popular press and current affairs. These are more related to newspaper. So let's take a look and let's see if we're talking about popular press. This is newspaper, usually with gossip about celebrities. So this is not something serious. It usually gives you the secrets of celebrities. Gossip means speaking about someone, saying people's secrets behind their back. So when you speak about their friend and say what you heard about him or her, this is called gossip. So when we speak about popular press, these are types of newspaper that speaks about the secrets of celebrities. And then we have current affairs. This is the news about recent events or things that are happening right now. So Let's now do some practice for that. We will watch some television shows and we will guess what exactly the type of each one. So here we have what we're going to watch. We're going to watch the president of Russia visited China yesterday. Where or what kind of program would you find something like this? You will find it in the current affairs, because we're talking about things that are happening recently. And for the next one, the new retro brand, The Darkness, have taken us back to the 1970s with their songs. If we're talking about songs, which one is it? It is music. And get faster internet access with the latest broadband version. So here we're talking about computers. So a program about computers, you will find a statement like this. Okay, we have Chelsea's boss has bought 5 new players. If we're talking about Chelsea, players, so this is basically sports. So number 5, the story was not really believable, but some of the acting, especially by Orlando Bloom, was fantastic. So what do you think this is? This is speaking about films. And the next one, the new Honda is the best, yet a pleasure to drive. So you will find this in which part? You will find it in the cars part. And for the last one, Vivienne Eastwood, new dresses are cheap and colorful. And this is for the fashion programs or fashion page. So let's do some more practice for that. We're going to look at some television series and we're going to think and guess together what's on television, what type of program is it. Let's start now and let's take a look. Okay, so now we're going to do some more practice for the television programs that we have just checked. So we're going to see a picture from a television program and we're going to think together, what type of program is it? So let's start and let's see what's on television tonight. So let's take a look here. So this picture is about what type of program? Is it for a documentary, for a soap opera, or for news? What type of program do you think this is? So if we're looking at this, when she's holding the microphone, so this is basically news. So this picture is for news program. And for the next one, we have the sun, clouds, we have weather forecast, cartoon, and news. If we're talking about weather forecast, this is our predictions for the weather. Cartoon is cartoon or animation, and news, we have just looked at it. So this picture, it's for, yes, so it's for the weather forecast. So what we're going to watch tonight is the weather forecast. Okay, so let's take a look at this picture. We have animals in nature. If you remember when we said we don't have actors or actresses, it's just giving facts and information about something which is real. Here we have documentary, game show, and a film. Which one is it? Do you remember? Yes, it's for documentary. So a documentary which films real life and it doesn't have actors or actresses. It shows facts about some sort of information that we film. And then we have Charlie Chaplin. So if we're watching Charlie Chaplin tonight, what kind of program is it going to be? Is it going to be action film? Is it going to be a comedy or horror? So from the picture, it is a comedy. And for the next one, we have people who are singing and dancing. So if we have singing and dancing, we have talked about this before. So we have cartoon, we have soap opera, and we have musical show. So from the picture, people singing and dancing, so this is musical show. Okay, so here we have people who are playing football. So this program is soap opera, sports program, or a quiz show, which is same like game show. Okay, soap opera, sports program, or quiz show, it is a sports program. Okay, for the next one, here we have 3 people who are standing and they have points in front of them and they have a false answer behind them. So they answer, they get points, we have a winner. So this is a film, a sports program, or a game show. What do you think? When we have contestants, people who play together, it is game show. Okay, and the next one, it's Tom and Jerry. So basically we have news, comedy, or cartoon. So Tom and Jerry is cartoon. And here we have people who are sitting together. We have a TV presenter or we have a journalist maybe, and they are talking. So sitting and talking, what kind of program is it? Is it news program, talk show, or quiz show? If we're talking about quiz show, it's the same like game show. Talk show, same like chat show, and we have the news. So this one is talk show, which is the same like chat show like we talked about. And then we have this girl. We have a horror film, western, or comedy. So she looks creepy, so this is basically a horror film. And for the next one, we have this television series that lasted for a long, long time. We have cartoon, series, and soap opera. Actually, it would work for both. We can say series, this is the general idea, or we can say soap opera, which is a long time TV show. So series and soap opera would work. And here we have another one, which is again a long TV show that lasted for a long time. We have cartoon, we have weather forecast, and we have soap opera. So this one is soap opera. And by this, we have looked at what we might watch on television, and we have practiced the types of television show that we can watch. So let's go together and have a look at other types of mass media. We have talked about television and radio and programs that we can watch, whether in television or on radio. But now we're going to take a deeper look at newspaper, another type of mass media. So for newspapers, newspapers are divided into 2 basic types of newspapers. So it's either quality newspapers, and if we're talking about quality newspaper, some people call them the heavies because they have the important news or the serious articles where you can find serious writers who give opinion about politics or about what's happening in countries, or they can write about serious issues that face society. And we have popular newspapers, or what is also called tabloids. Tabloids are a type of newspaper that doesn't have something serious. It's usually about short, simple reports, or they usually contain gossip about celebrities, but they don't have something serious. And you will not find information about what's going on in business or the serious issues that are facing society, for example. So these are the 2 basic types. If we're looking at each of them, or if we're looking at any of them, we will find inside the newspaper different sections. So let's take a look what sections can we find inside the newspaper? First of all, we have the local news. And the local news is like the one that we have in front of us here, miracle on the Pacific coast. We're talking about things that happen inside the country itself. So we're talking about the events that happen within the country. So if we're talking about the local news for Egypt, we will take a look at what's happening inside Egypt in different governorates or in different areas, like what happened in Alex and Asyut and different areas. We're talking about the important events that are happening inside the country. So this is called local news. Local news. And we also have foreign news. Foreign news. Like for example here, mutant deadly strain of bird flu emerged in Asia again. So these are news about what's happening in other countries outside our country. So we're talking about news that are happening abroad, that are facing the bigger world. So we're talking about other countries which is not our country. So anything that's happening in the world, any important events, any serious news, you will find it in the foreign news. And we also have the gossip column. The gossip column is basically where you can read, again, like we said, about the secrets of celebrities. Like here, Jennifer Lopez, Mark Antony reconcile in the Hamptons. So we're talking about secrets for Jennifer Lopez or Mark Antony or whatever, things that they don't want to show to people. And we have journalists who can take pictures and start gossiping about them. So it's called the gossip column. And we also have the sports, and from the word, it's about sports, inside or outside the country. And then we have the obituaries, obituaries, obituaries. And this is the sad section in the newspaper. This is where people write about other people who died or people they lost. So if someone, God forbid, if someone dies, so they write the news of his death in the obituaries. So if they would like to let others know that this person passed away, they write it in the obituaries. And we're not talking about accidents, we're talking about normal death in which we inform other people. So this section is called obituaries. Obituaries. And we also have a fun section which is called the horoscope, where you can read about zodiac signs and you can read about expectations of how your life would be, what might happen to you today based on your zodiac sign. So this is reading the stars and knowing about what's going to happen in the future. So it can give you a sign of good luck or something. It's called horoscope. Horoscope. The horoscope section. And we also have the weather forecast. The weather forecast is where you can read news about the weather and expectation, what's going to happen in the future for the weather. Like when you read, next week it's going to be hot, next week it's going to get colder. So this information, you can get it from the weather forecast. And then we have the advice column. The advice column is a part or a section in the newspaper where the writer communicates with the readers through letters or emails or whatever type of communication that they prefer. What happens that we have a writer, and this writer receives letters from the readers. They tell him about their problems, and the writer takes the letter, he publishes the letter, and he starts giving advice. And some other people can read the problem and can send letters of other advice to the writer. So this is called the advice column. So for example, I now have a problem with my family. I don't know how to raise my kid well. My child is not very polite and I face a problem with him. So in this case, I write a letter to the advice column, to the writer, and he publishes my problem and he gives me advice. So people read my problem and they start also giving me advice. So they send to the writer advice to me, and the week after he publishes other advice to me. So this is called the advice column. And we have the brain teasers section. The brain teasers section is a section basically for people who like to play games and puzzles like crossword puzzles, Sudoku and stuff like that. So this is the game section in the newspaper, which is the fun section. And we also have the classified ads. And if we speak about classified ads, this word ads means advertisement. So for example, if you remember when we were talking about flats and apartments, I have a flat that I want to rent. How can I tell people about it? I can write an ad and I put it in the newspaper. So this is the meaning of an ad. What do you mean by classified? Classified ads are advertisements that are divided by section or by type. So they have a part for flats, and they have another part for jobs, another part for cars. So this is called classified ads. It's divided into sections or parts. Every group of ads that are similar, you will find them together. So it's called the classified ads. By this, we have looked at the most important types or the most important section that you can find in newspaper. And as we said, what applies in newspaper applies on magazines as well. So you will find similar sections inside magazines. So this leaves us to the last part or the last type of mass media. The last type of mass media that we have is the internet. And this is the most recent type of mass media that we have in the world now. So if we're talking about the internet, we have different things that we can do on the internet. So we can make new friends like we discussed earlier. We can get information much easier. We can find a job. We can communicate with others. We can go shopping and we can study as well. So these are the things that we can do on the internet. So if we're talking about the mass media part, this is the part of getting information from the internet. So it's a very useful tool, and you can think about it and you can think how you can make it more useful and how to avoid the harms that might come out of the internet. So right now, let's take a look at this newspaper title. By standards, who assists in emergency first aid might be covered by insurance. So here we have a newspaper title. And when we speak about newspaper titles in general, there is a very important structure that we will usually find. We have something called the passive voice. What do you mean by passive voice? So let's take a look at these statements and let's see what is meant by passive and what is different about them. Too much or too little sleep linked to heart problems. And we also have old woman profiled on whose website. So these statements are examples of the passive structure. Let's see one more and let's see what exactly we mean by it. We are just seeing examples here. US surgeons on Tuesday successfully separated co-joined 2-year-old girls born in Philippines, the California hospital announced. So this is another thing that we have here. What do we mean by passive voice? Okay, if we take a look here again, old woman profiled on whose website? So here, this is the title or this is the headline, the news headline. Let's take a look. Here we have old woman, and here we have profiled. So this is the subject, and profiled, this is the verb, and on whose website, this is the rest of the statement. I just have one question connected to this statement. Did the old woman profile something? So did the subject do the verb? So is the subject that we have here the doer of the action that we have here, or it's not the doer? This is the question. So if we're talking about the subject which is not the doer of the verb, this is passive. Like when I say, my car was stolen. My car is the subject. Stolen is the verb. My car, steal something. So the car is the doer of the action steal? No. So the subject is not the doer of the action. So this is the meaning of passive. So we have a subject who did not do the action. Actually, the action happened to the subject. The stealing happened to the car, not the car do it. So this is the passive format. This is what is meant by passive, is that the subject is not the doer of the action. No, it's what the action happened to. So let's look at the format of passive. What is the form? So the form is that we have a subject. This subject is followed by verb to be and then the past participle form of the verb. So let's take a look and let's see an example. So here we have my mother washes my clothes. So my mother, which is the subject, washes, which is the verb, my clothes is the object. Okay, so this is my mother. Did she do this? Yes. So my mother, the subject, is the doer of the action. She's the doer of the verb. So this is a normal active sentence. A normal sentence, the subject is the doer. Okay, now it's not important to look here. I don't want to talk about my mother. I want to focus on the object. I want to focus on the clothes. If this is my focus, I'm going to put it at the beginning. So now I'm going to change it and I'm going to take these clothes and I'm going to make it the subject because this is the important part. No reason to put it in the end. So let's take the clothes, let's take the object, put it in a new sentence, and in this new sentence, let's make it the subject. And then we have the verb. Now we have a problem. This subject did not do this verb. So now we need to separate the subject from the verb because it's not connected to it. It didn't do it, it's not connected to it, so we need to separate them. To separate them, we're going to add verb to be here. And as long as this sentence is in present, we're going to use verb to be in present. So, my clothes are washed, and I can stop. Or I can add by my mother, or I can cancel it. It doesn't really matter. What I care about is the first part. My clothes are washed. By whom? It's not my focus. Here we have my clothes have been washed by my mother. So let's think about it. Is it active or passive? So my clothes, did my clothes do this? No. So my clothes did not do this. So we're talking about a passive sentence here. That's why the original sentence was my mother has washed my clothes. So this is the original sentence. When I switched it into passive, I started with the object and I made it a new subject here to make it my clothes. And then has washed, I'm going to add verb to be. So have been, verb to be here, been washed by my mother. My clothes have been washed by my mother. Let's take a look at another sentence with a different tense, and let's see how we can make it passive. My mother was washing my clothes. So, active or passive? My mother was washing. Did my mother do this? Yes. So, this is a normal active sentence. Let's switch it to passive. I care most about subject. So, my clothes were, and then I add verb to be. Here it's with ing, I add verb to be with ing. Were being washed, past participle, I switch the verb into past participle by my mother. So see how the format changes, and this is basically what we speak about when we speak about passive. So for passive, the meaning is that the subject is not the doer of the action. The subject is separated from the action. That's why we put verb to be in the middle. By this, we have looked today at the most important parts or the most important types of mass media. We have looked at televisions, we have looked at newspapers, and we have also looked at the internet. And we have also taken a look at different collocations that can occur when we speak about mass media in general. And we've taken a look at passive voice, which we will explore later deeper, and we will take more practice in other episodes for. By this, we have reached the end of our episode. Thank you very much for watching, and see you the next time. Bye.